that means it's the manuscript of Jonathan Seagull's come back from my agent. He can't sell it. I like your little story, Richard, but no one in Manhattan does. Time to move on. What's next? The Other Letter from Macmillan Publishing Company. Dear Richard Bach, I've read some of your writing. I wonder if is it possible that you would have a manuscript that's not committed to another publisher? I'd like to see it. Eleanor Frieda.
Wow.
Standing there in the driveway, I've got this manuscript in one hand, I've got this letter in the other hand, saying, do you have a manuscript? Is it ever not committed? Wham! Speed of light out to Eleanor. And she goes crazy for it. She says, I love your little seagull. She doesn't say, what, a talking seagull? This is crazy. I love your seagull. We're going to publish it. It won't pay you very much, but I don't care. I'll pay you to publish it, Eleanor. I've got to see what happens to this book. So there it happened, this whole string of unbelievable coincidences that if you wrote them down as fiction, no one would believe it. What were the chances of that happening? I don't know. Do numbers go to zillions? But there I stood with these two things, and that was a huge turning point in my life. And then, after so many rejections, that book sold. Whew. But that the same power is working for all of us. It puts us, or effectively speaking, we put ourselves through these tests of belief, these tests of character, these tests of experience. And when we pass them, strange things happen. When we don't pass them, that's also another step along the way, too.
There's definitely an intelligence guiding things.
I would agree with that without question. Something is guiding us.
Yes.
And something that is life-affirming, that is positive, that if we turn to it, whatever name you want to use for it, we're somehow helped along the way. Good things happen, no matter what our situation is. I mean, like the guy lying on the sidewalk, right? An opportunity comes. Do we take the opportunity? Do we gamble? Do we say, okay, I'm going to do this crazy thing? I'm going to open this book, even though the last thing I want to do is read under this street light. I'm going to read one sentence, and it's going to change my life. Yeah. I think most of us can look back at changing important turning points in our lives and see similar things that happen, just odd coincidence.
I want to run something by you. Because you have experienced remote viewing and you know that our whole paradigm of time-space is not what we have believed it is, that everything is accessible, everything.
Yep.
When it comes to creative works, a lot of times people say, well, if it's not human, it's not alive. Well, you know for a fact that creative works are alive. They're animate. They have a life of their own.
Yeah.
But many authors and creative people don't always relate to them as if they're animate.
Huh?
And that may be why 8 years later, the completion of Jonathan became available, because it had a life of its own. It wasn't ready for its completion till 8 years later.
That's very true. And some people have said in publishing, they have said the timing of that book, Richard, was perfect. And I didn't tell them, hey, that book started 8 years earlier. Would the timing have been perfect 8 years earlier? Had it finished the whole thing? I don't have a clue. I really don't know. But timing was very important to Jonathan. There were a lot of other things going on in the world. A lot of old paradigms were being broken, and Jonathan was kind of talking about that and demonstrating that in a way that individuals could relate to that, say, hey, this is my life too. Those ideas are living ideas, and they come to us no matter what our calling is. If we're dancers, then maybe some magical choreography comes to our mind. If we're actors, there's a part that will suddenly come to us, that will sing to us. Or if we're in the advertising business, there'll be, oh, fantastic, here's a really great approach to taking this, to selling this product. Whatever it is, those ideas come as living things, and it's up to us to decide, I'm going to run with this, or nah, this is not for me. And that's what we put ourselves here for, is to express our highest nature. Now, we don't always have to do that, and we can fail miserably if we want to. I believe we live an indefinite series of life experiences, so we have a zillion opportunities to fail and an equal number to succeed and see what that feels like. Long term, there is no failure. Long term, it's not possible to destroy life. It goes on in different forms, always, and us always. So there's a line in Illusions that says, we're the otters of the universe. We're these playful life forms, and we dive into these lifetimes, and we splash around, and we have disasters, and we have huge successes and all that kind of thing. And beyond it all, we're untouched. We go through living, and we go through dying, and we do it over and over and over again for the fun of it.
Does Richard Bach have any worries today?
Worries?
Concerns?
I think once a person reaches this, well, it may not be true at all, but for me, once I reached the understanding, it made sense to me that we do have this indefinite series of life experiences if we want them. Then what can touch you then? What, are you suddenly afraid of dying? You've died 100,000 times before. Been born 100,000 times before. We live simultaneously in alternate universes in which we may be a life form that stretches across galaxies. I don't know, but I know that, or my belief is that it's not possible to die, and that doing the best we can, no matter where we are, to express the life that we are in all its quirkiness and its funniness and its madness sometimes, that's what we as a life form call learning. That's what we call entertainment. And there's nothing to be afraid of. And we can play the game of being afraid if we want to. But when you reach a point of understanding that we chose this life, and by our decisions, we chose every event that's happened to us. Once we accept that responsibility, then there's nothing to be afraid of. We accept the responsibility of dying too, so-called dying, where we'll put aside this body, this overcoat, and express our true self in a little different way for a while.
Have you had a fulfilling life so far?
Wow, and how. And how. To find these few ideas that have presented themselves to me, have done my very, very best to be true to them, and to see a few of them touch other people's lives, mostly for the better, yeah, that is fulfilling.
RichardBach.com has a book on it, but when you click it at the moment, it doesn't open your site. Is that going to become open to us?
No, that I had a website at one time, and it was fun and interesting, but it took a whole lot of time because people were finding it and they were writing in, and I was writing back, and all kinds of things happening on that website. All of a sudden, I realized my whole life was going to be this website. So I shut it down, and there's just that one picture of this kind of a placeholder. And someday, my wife Sabrina says she wants to get that going again. She doesn't think it's right that it's just a blank page or page with a picture of this ratty book that our dog chewed on one corner of it, the little Messiah's Handbook.
I think it would be a nice receptacle for A, people who have read your books, and B, people who would like others to know about your books.
It could be, and that would be fun.
Without you having to be involved
in
the day-to-day.
But I don't want to spend my life doing that.
Sure.
And I know, too, that readers are led to certain books. It's sure true in my life. Some examples I've given you, but there's many more. And so people are led to my books, too, if they're right for them. If they have something that will touch their lives and maybe change it for the better, they'll be led to find those books. And so I don't have to have a website. Sure. I don't have to do anything. It's just, is it going to be something interesting to do? And Sabrina thinks it might be interesting, and I'll go along with it for just so long as that doesn't subsume everything else that I want to do in this life. I still have airplanes to fly.
Does a writer have to be jealous with their time?
No, may